all SAG actors, so I actually always like to start by asking, how did you get your SAG card? What was the job that
How did you get your SAG card?
Oh my goodness.
I think it was Party of Five.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was 16, and it was my first job. And yeah, I broke up, was it Nev and Michael Gorgon. That was me. I think that's when I got my SAG card, yeah.
Maybe I think I was on Sci-Fi. It was like I was Janelle Monae in the future on a Sci-Fi show. I forgot the name of the show, but it was like a small cameo.
Going back now, now that we're in the future, or what would have been the future then, how do you think you played Janelle Monae in the future?
I guess we'll never know.
Well, again, congratulations on a fantastic movie. I'm curious how Rian Johnson approached each of you about Glass Onion, and if you were fans of, I don't want to say the original, but I guess the part one, Knives Out. What was sort of your initial reaction? And well, I'm going to stop there because I have a lot of questions.
I mean, I think I can speak for both of us.
Yeah, go for it.
Go
Because
on.
I'm looking this way and I'm starting to get dizzy. I'm like, I'm doing vertigo.
I mean, for both of us, Ryan is a dream director. I wanted to work with Ryan ever since I saw Looper. Have you guys seen Looper? Oh my goodness, I was blown away. I was like, I wish I had written that. I wish I directed it. I wish I started it. Who is this guy? And then I went down a rabbit hole. I saw Brick, which was, his original whodunit, and watched everything up to Knives Out, and I was just really blown away by his writing.
And Ryan actually, it's so funny, we've been doing all this press, and I forgot about this, which is weird, but I'm such a huge fan that when he was doing Breaking Bad, he did 2 great episodes of Breaking Bad. I actually threw a screening at my house for him. Yeah, which we both totally kind of like missed during this whole casting process, But yeah, I mean, Ryan, he's such an innovative filmmaker and such a great writer and has such a great point of view. And I think for this really invigorated the genre. And so just to be a part of the franchise was like such an opportunity as an actor to work with someone like that, especially.
So he did give you a script up front. He let you read the whole thing. I'm curious, did he give you any warning about what was going to happen, or did he just give you the script and you're reading it? Because I'm going to be totally honest here. For most of the movie, Kate, I thought you were the killer.
Still no spoilers, right? Are we still in this world?
We just saw it.
Okay.
Did you sort of have the same reaction? Where you're like, I wonder if I did it.
I honestly, when I was reading it, the first thing I was thinking about was, how's he going to get out of New England? And then I was really kind of immediately just immersed in these new characters and a whole new world, and I try not to like think about it like that. I think he's such a rich writer that it's like you're just in it as it's happening. At least that was for me. I never had a moment when I was reading it that I thought of somebody as where I tried to figure it. Did you?
No, well, I mean, obviously your mind goes to, how are we going to end this? Wait, where's this going? And I didn't see any of the twists and the turns and the reveals, and I found myself laughing and just being like, I wonder who they're going to get to play this role. Who they're going to get? Because I only knew Daniel was coming on board. I didn't know who else may be joining. Maybe Edward at the time. So I think I was more so just casting people in my mind and who I would have wanted to work with, and I could not be working with a better cast of you look at I'm sitting by this icon, you know what I mean? Being able to just watch her work as Birdie, her work was absolutely remarkable, exceptional, just beautiful. And each person came and they brought that, to their roles. You can tell they cared, and the bonding that we had, I think, really did show up on screen. Like, we really walked away from that shoot gaining, family friendships lifelong.
It's really fun when you're an actor, with a room full of actors, but like when you really admire people's work and then you have the opportunities to work with them. And And when you do have that moment where you're like, how is this gonna go, you know? Are they gonna be easy to work with? What's the process gonna be like? And in this particular cast, it was like watching, everyone had those moments that you were watching them at their best. Like there was a moment I remember watching Edward, and I got the scene when we're in the yellow chairs, and I was watching Edward do this monologue, and it was like, there was one particular take, and I was like, oh, fuck, man, he's good. Good, like, and everybody had that moment, you know. Same scene, like watching Janelle come and just kill that scene. It was like, it was so much fun to really watch what happens when beautiful actors get really great characters and dialogue, and it doesn't happen always that often. So it was pretty special.
You know, the one person I never suspected in the movie was Edward Norton. I'm bad at this.
Well, I'm gonna be like Ryan right now, because we still have another premiere of this movie, so we wanna make sure there's no,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
We're with family,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
We haven't posted. I'll rest ourselves. Round of applause. Yes, all of them.
Oh my God. I do want to talk specifically about the performances, because Janelle, you give not one, it's so weird to say that name, because that's my name.
know.
Yeah, and I never meet other Janelle, so.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You give not one, but two fantastic performances in this film, playing Andy and Helen. How did you approach each character differently, as they have very different motivations and mannerisms, in addition to the obvious physical changes?
Well, I had to have different notebooks for each of them, and actually, technically it was 3 characters, because I had to play Helen, Andy, and Helen pretending to be Andy. And, I start, whenever I'm doing character work, I always start with the spirit. So a lot of it started with what is the essence, the spirit of each of these humans, what do they want, and making sure that their presence showed up in each frame. The most challenging thing I think was just making sure that the schedule kind of stuck to what the schedule was going to be, because if you say I'm Helen Monday, don't try to spring up on me Andy, but sometimes that happened. Between 1 and 3, I was Helen. Between 3 and 5, I was Andy. Between 6 and 9, or maybe 6 all the way to the morning, I was Helen, pretending to be Andy. And thank God for Ryan, who would just always say, okay, so here's where we are, and making sure that the spirit showed up, because what we wanted is for when people, watch this a second time, or third time, or fourth time, that's what we want, right? Is for you to go back and be like, I see why that little accent crept in when we thought it was Andy, because in fact it never was. So little stuff like that, that's the fun stuff for me. Like as soon as I read this, I was like, oh, I'm about to be challenged in another way, in the best possible way. And I'm just so thankful. I know you mentioned, Moonlight Hidden Figures, and I have to give a shout out. God bless you. He was always right. He was always right. But in those moments, it's like, I want to go to the Ionian Sea with Kate and with Edward. I want to put on my bikini too. But it was a wonderful sacrifice. But yeah, that happened a lot.
Kate, your character is so much fun, and I feel like your costumes say so much about your character. Actually, both of you. The costumes really inform the character. You can do so much preparation as an actor, but how much does it help to show up on set and actually step into, like, Birdie's bikini with a chain? Like, it's so much.
That's a whole other day. That was more of like a, what is that? What, it was a Hugh Jackman who drinks wine the day before he does his scenes. Have you ever heard that? Yeah. Am I making this up? I feel like I heard something where he drinks wine the night before he does these scenes to dehydrate himself so that he's a little bit more muscular. I could have totally made this up. Birdie is fun. You know what? Jenny Egan is such a brilliant costume designer, and I think we all when I was a little girl and you're thinking of the parts that you want to play and the things that inspire you to be an actor, it usually for me was the hats and the capes and the like fringe, you know, musical theater geek that I am. Birdie walking into that first fitting was like a bucket list fitting. It was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so much fun. And part of what I loved about Birdie on the page was like, I could feel her body language, and to me, it was like a dance. She's like a dance to me in my head, and so the costumes and the movement of her costumes were so important. But Jenny, it was like that's like when you're working with, you don't have to do anything. It's like, oh, like what a dream. And Birdie's room, we laughed because Catherine, you know, we all had fittings around the same time, and you know, Catherine would look at all of our fitting rooms and like see Birdie and see, you know, Janelle's room, and then Catherine's was like a rack of like 3 things that were beige. And Catherine was always like, okay. Yeah, so putting Birdie on was for me, other than like I would say Penny Lane in Almost Famous felt like that. It felt like the costume so informed my character, how I felt in it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the times, you know, for my character, Andy, there was no talking. So the clothing had to say something, right? And I think Jenny did such a remarkable job of bringing to those fittings, like the clothes that was like, oh, we see them, we don't even have to say anything, and they're gonna know exactly who these people are, or the mystery is gonna be there, or whatever, yeah, whatever our characters are the essence of them. Like those clothes are so important, and once you get that locked in, I think that helps us to even be able to relax into the body and not feel like we have to overdo anything.
Yeah, and it's important to the tone of Ryan's vision. Like his tone is so specific. It's got like that little revved up, you know, like hair up behind me. That's probably not the right way to say it, but you know, it's just like kind of revved up, and so the costumes speak to that, and also like interesting the way he casts, like the comfortability of people in these costumes too is important, you know, like watching Janelle in that dress, just like, oh, own it. Like
Please tell me you kept that dress.
I did not, but I feel like I should have. I love that dress. It felt so much like me, and so much like the character, and it felt like Grease. Like when I saw the pattern, when she showed it to me, I was like, ooh, this is giving Grecian goddess, rich bitch. You know, but just also like you want to play, you want to believe that this person is not a bad person, but you know these people have these complicated pasts. You still want to raid their closet. You still want them to give fashion tips. But yeah, she gives like that boss bitch energy. Yeah.
You mentioned your How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days co-star, Catherine Hahn, who you get to reunite with in this movie. And we just have to talk about this amazing cast, all of whom are on my shirt. I thought
How cool is that?
I was like, I don't know why we don't have this shirt.
Look at that. That is like, come on, Netflix, get it together. Perfect marketing.
This literally arrived as I was leaving, and I thought it'd be a great fit, but I am freezing. So basically what I want to know is are you having as much fun as we were having watching you all?
Oh, I had a ball. I mean, as much, I think the fun for me was honestly working with this cast, knowing that I'd be in these scenes sparring with an Edward and with Daniel, and you know, being able to be with Kate and Catherine, like this ensemble of people that I respect. It's like a kid, it's like, wow, I'm gonna actually be getting a master class from each of them, just watching them as much as I possibly could and soaking up how they do what it is that they do. And then working with Ryan, who is a big kid, who's, if you get a Ryan Johnson in the back after a take, like you know you're in the pocket. But I think as an actor, I always want to be challenged. I'm always like, okay, it's time to go to the next level. What are we doing here? You know, and I think when I think about this character, and I think about the layers, and I think about just what was required of me, stretching from doing the comedy to the heavy, like deep emotional, dramatic moments to the action, all of that was exciting. You know, something to sink my teeth into. It just was just delicious. It was like, man, this makes you feel like you're using your gift. You're really doing that, and somebody believes in you enough to trust you with it.
And also just the camaraderie, you know, that sort of support, like we, you know, if there was a camera, or if I could show you what I was seeing sometimes, like what their behind the camera was, it was all of their heads like squished behind the camera, you know, and you're looking at what really Ryan put together is like our family. That was our little family, and you don't get that feeling very often making movies, you know, and where you know you're doing good work and you're, you know, witnessing great work, and then and you're having fun with each other. That everybody sort of leaves the ego, you know, back in LA, and
right. And we had murder mystery parties. Did we talk?
Really?
Yeah. We literally had murder mystery parties
a lot.
that Ryan would set up. He would write these handwritten notes to us like, "You're invited, 7 p.m." As if we had anywhere else to go. I'm like,
yeah, we're in like Serbia at the like peak of Delta.
Exactly. We could not go anywhere. We had to stay like within this COVID-free bubble, and you know, to entertain ourselves, he would have us at the bar and grill. We would get drinks, and we would have murder mystery parties.
And apparently Janelle and I are the most competitive, which I didn't really understand until this press tour where it was
so
like,
true.
Who's the most competitive? They're like, well, Kate's the most competitive and Janelle's the most committed.
She's gonna find out if you are the murderer in the murder mystery game. Do you guys play Mafia or Assassin? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. She will grill you. You will get got. Like, she's a good detective. I'm you know, an observer. I'm just observant. I'm like, I see everybody get their cards. I'm like, ooh. Body language.
Fucking
Why did you
mafia.
just move right there?
Yeah.
See, you just broke.
Definitely
wrong.
10 in this room.
I've seen that game end friendships, so I play it very carefully.
Or relationships.
Yeah.
It almost ended mine.
Yes,
in Serbia.
You
Yeah, Danny.
Yeah.
In Serbia.
He was like, I didn't do it.
He's mafia. But he wasn't. It was terrible. Yeah.
She was wrong that time.
I was wrong.
I believed her.
But we did, but I really think that kind of brought all of us a lot closer, the COVID of it all, you know. And it also made it feel a little bit like summer camp. Like there were times where Ram, our producer, like all he wanted to do was keep us in a room. Like, you're not going anywhere. And we were all like, are you sneaking out?
we would take like,
Yeah.
I heard there's a burlesque show.
Should we meet? Yeah. Well, she'd find the burlesque show.
Yeah, I would find them, but I never would. 'Cause you also, listen, you don't want to be the one to get production shut down.
Right.
Like, I was not playing. I kept my little ass in that room.